PM advisory, there's really no changes in terms of the storm's intensity, which is very, very high end Category 5. Those winds literally will flatten trees, some weaker built homes, even more heavy buildings, stronger buildings sustain major damage at this. We are not expecting that in South Florida. Okay, let's just get that off the table right away, because a lot of times there's discussion about, well, it's not going to hit here. Well, what do we mean when we say it's not going to hit here? Do we mean that the center, the eye, is not going to hit here? Of course not. That's not going to happen. The center of the storm is not going to hit here. That 185-mile core of the storm is not going to hit here. But the storm is not a point. It's this big area of winds here. The closer you get to the center, the stronger the winds get. And right at the eye wall, the winds ramp up considerably. And so as we go forward here and talk about this, one of the things we're going to talk about is that the intensity is going to come down. This 185 is going to come to 180, 175. I never use the word weakening when we're in a major hurricane thing, because weakening is a relative term. If you're still at Category 5 and you're no longer 185, you really haven't weakened. It's just that the intensity has come down. So until it gets below Category 3, it's really not weakening in terms of its potential impacts. So the speed has come down as well. Now moving west at 5. Earlier it was west at 8 and then west at 7. Now it's west at 5. So it is slowing down. There's our line that we're watching. We'll talk more about that. 26.6. We're at 26 here, Miami-Dade and Broward. 26.6. That's not very far north. We wish it were higher. We'd like it to be higher, but we think that it will get higher once it makes this turn. So between now and Monday afternoon, it's a slow movement in through the northwest Bahamas, leaving the Abacos and basically running along Grand Bahama there. Then by tomorrow night, it starts its turn to the north. In terms of its closest approach, it's going to be Monday afternoon through Monday night, and then moving away from us on Tuesday. You look at this, you say, well, but we're not in the cone. That doesn't even matter. Look at this storm. Storm is huge. That storm is moving somewhere along the cone. The cone only talks about the center. It's good that we're not in the cone because the center is not coming here. We know that already. But the fringe effects, the winds outside of that, and the squalls, they are going to be pushing through South Florida. There's our Wednesday position, and then finally, well, it's on off to sea. Goodbye, Dorian. The satellite loop through the day, extremely impressive. Here we are. Look how close we are to this storm. And once again, it's a relatively compact storm, especially on this side, our side of it. You go from squalls and winds build to all of a sudden intense hurricane conditions. There is the center right now, moving through the Abacos very, very slowly as it moves on to the west. Computer models really unchanged. They're kind of in this west-northwest motion, and then at some point start to turn more to the northwest. We're watching some of these models. They show a very close approach of the core to the east or northeast coast of Florida. So there are the hurricane warnings that are in effect as of right now. We do have hurricane watch for much of Palm Beach County and north, and a tropical storm watch in Broward. No watches or warnings in Miami-Dade. We do have a storm surge watch to the north. It's basically Palm Beach County north as well. Here's the radar this afternoon, and you can see the core showing up, and there's the lightning around the core. Intense hurricane. Usually the radar this far out doesn't pick up stuff. The radar beam's pretty high this far out, but the core of the storm very, very tall into the atmosphere, and you can see it there. We are starting to see now some of these bands on the west side of Dorian sweeping through, and if you're doing preparations or anything outside, you kind of have to time it. Band moves through, and then you take cover, and then you can resume your preparation. One thing to say about this storm over here on the west coast, that has a tornado warning on it, so we can't rule out the possibility of isolated tornadoes as we go forward in the coming days. I'm going to be talking about this graphic a lot more. This is the arrival of winds type of graphic here. That's Sunday at 5 p.m. There we are right now, and I'm going to be talking about how, as the storm gets closer, when we expect the winds to arrive. But basically a brief timeline. Tonight, breezes build, passing gusty storms. Tomorrow, the winds continue to build. Squalls, and when I say squalls, it's heavy downpours that come through with very gusty winds, and then by Tuesday the squalls decrease and the winds drop. More on that, and we'll be checking in with the National Hurricane Center coming up in just a bit.